Hi, my name is Cel, and I'm your host for the SweatNet Be Amazing podcast, where we share stories of amazing women who live in our communities. My hope is that you will feel encouraged and inspired after listening to each episode. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Be Amazing podcast here on SweatNet. I'm your host, Cel, and I'm so excited you've joined me again today for another incredible conversation with an amazing woman. And before I tell you who my guest is, I want to share something with you. There is an event coming up on Saturday, May 14th, 2022, right here in Charlotte. It is the Mud Girl Run. Yes, you heard that right. Mud Girl Run. Not just a mud run, but a Mud Girl Run. It's an all women's race. It is 3 miles, 17 obstacles. It's going to be so much fun. It's about taking on a challenge together. It's about doing it with other women. It's about having a blast together. So if this is something you're interested in or you'd like more information on it, just send an email to itscel@gmail.com and I'll send you a link with all the information, how you can register. We want you to join our team, which is Pink Squad CLT. So that's Pink Squad Charlotte. We want you to be a part of it. It's just such a great opportunity to connect with other women, have fun, doing something active, and pushing ourselves. So if that sounds good to you, then come out and join us. Okay, so now let's talk about my guest, Melissa Price. She is a mom and a multi-franchise burn boot camp owner. She brings energy and passion to absolutely everything that she does. Melissa shares how she left corporate and jumped in with both feet, facing fear head on to become the first franchise partner of the Burn Boot Camp franchise. Her perseverance and passion to impact lives with a desire to succeed is evident in what she does every single day. Melissa met Lindsay Bushnell, another franchise owner, and over time realized the impact they could make together. It wasn't long before they joined forces and now own multiple burn boot camp locations in the Charlotte area. Melissa believes that no isn't the end. Keep pushing because there is always a way. Stay tuned for this incredible conversation with Melissa. Welcome to the show, Melissa. I am so excited to have you on. This has been a long time coming since I met you. So tell us a little bit about who you are.
Thank you, Cel. I'm so excited to be on this with you. My name is Melissa Price, and I am a mom of 2 teenagers, and I own several burn boot camps, 2 that are open and 3 that are in the making of being built out and coming soon. And then also venturing down a new path of opening something called Project Lean Nation, which is a meal prep company. So keep myself a little busy.
Just a little bit.
A little bit.
It's freaking awesome. It's awesome to see you. It's awesome to see you thriving, and you and Lindsay thrive together.
Yes.
Talk about that a little bit, your partnership with Lindsay.
So I've owned 2 gyms by myself for 5 years now. And, throughout COVID, Lindsay and I have always worked very closely. But throughout COVID, during the gym's closing, we continued to work even closer. And what I noticed was when we would bounce things off of each other for advice for our own gyms, because she owns 2 gyms, we were continually aligned with, oh yeah, I think we should do that, or I think you should do that. So I noticed this pattern of us agreeing on a business level and personal level about how we lived our lives and what our mission was and the things we believed in. And then I also started to dawn on me that in this business, the way to really excel is to have people who were in positions that knew more than I did about their position. For example, a social media person. I wanted them to know more about social media than I knew so that I could do what I love, which is being with the members and growing the business and changing lives. I'm not really a numbers person, and I'm not really a social media person in terms of marketing. And so why try and reinvent the wheel and do something that I'm not passionate about? The issue with that is when you hire someone who they didn't go to school for that, you have to end up teaching them how to do social media, right? Or whatever it is they're doing. And if you hire someone who did go to school for it and their specialty is that, you have to pay a high salary. That's not realistic for an individual gym owner. So I called Lindsay one day and I said, hey, I want to run something by you. Just going to throw it out there. And if you have interest in it, let's talk about it. And I said to her, I feel like if we collaborated, came together, you own your two gyms, I own mine, but we hire someone to do social media for all four gyms. Well, now we have someone who knows more about social media than we do, more about marketing than we do, and they run that part of our business. We're no longer the go to, right? And we could afford their salary to collectively. Same thing. We hire someone who oversees all of our trainers and their specialty is training. We hire a regional manager. And I didn't even finish my sentences. And she was like, I'm in. I'm in. Let's do it. And so, we met and talked about it and really realized, just talked about the fact that there has never been a time in 5 years that we disagreed with a business decision that the other was making, or we disagreed with the advice we gave each other. So we knew from a business perspective, we were solid. And we also knew from a personal perspective that our morals and values were very similar, the same, and that we had one mission, and that was to impact the lives of others. And trying to do things that wasn't our specialty, was going to inhibit us from doing what we wanted to do, right? And it was also not going to let our passion flourish. So we met and we started putting this plan into action. And in that, she had, at the same time, coincidentally, or as God would have it, was her business partner was no longer going to be involved in the fitness field. So she said, hey, since we're doing this, do you want to buy into these other two gyms with me? And oh, by the way, I was also looking at another gym, and we said, well, why don't we just do these three together? And it literally in 30 minutes came together as a conversation, which we then presented to our franchise, and they were super supportive of. And it just all made sense, right? The whole path we wanted to go down made a lot of sense to us. So that's what we've done. We have a management company over all our gyms. She owns her two, I own my two, and then collectively we're opening the other three. And what we're really working on is getting the right people in the right seats for the positions we need them to be in for our companies.
That's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
I love the fact that you all have this incredible partnership. And it was so evident the day that I met you for the first time, when I walked into Burn and met you and Lindsay both. And it was just like instant chemistry, because your
Yeah.
alignment is everything that aligns with what I believe in as well. And it was
Yeah.
such a, like, it was almost like sparks. Like
Yeah.
when I
Yeah.
talked to both of you, and I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah. We joked around about it today, about how I was trying to sell a cell phone in the parking lot. I said to her, do you realize the impression I made on Celia the first day I met her? I'm selling a phone in the parking lot.
But it was
But
so
that's
great
like
because
par for the course. That's how we're just like,
right.
whatever.
But it was so great, and it was just like, it was the first time that we all met, and it was instant. And
Yeah.
now I feel like how did I not know y'all before now? And
Yeah.
now y'all are a huge part of Be Amazing Weekend. Your
Yeah.
sponsor, and and really engaged with what I'm doing. And it's just like such an incredible alignment. And I'm so
Right.
appreciative of getting to know
Yeah.
you all even more. And we've got some fun things planned ahead in the upcoming weeks.
Yes.
Or before the weekend. So I can't wait.
Yeah. We were really excited for it as well.
Me too. It's gonna be
Yeah.
so
And it
fun.
just, that's another thing. Like, when you came to us about Be Amazing, that was literally, I don't know if you realize that, but we hadn't solidified our partnership.
No, I
We were
didn't know that.
coming together to just like, oh, we like to partner on things as business owners because we knew we had the same mission. But it was really like, I think it might have even been that month that we had come together as really solidified our plan. And it was just really cool because it just took off from this idea to meeting with attorneys for a solid month, and recruiting our franchise business coach from headquarters. And they were amazingly supportive of us for that, taking him on to as our regional manager. And it was just all falling together. Like, it was just all coming together.
So cool. I did
Yeah,
not
it
know
was.
that. That is so
Yeah.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because when I reached out to y'all, and I can't even remember what it was that sparked me to reach out. I think Lindsay and I had talked at one point just through social media,
Yeah,
and
and
there
it
was
might
just
have been Sweating It too, because
yeah,
I think we had that connection too.
yeah. So it's just been kind of a really,
Mhm.
really cool experience to get to know you both, and then to see this happening for you is awesome, and to
Yeah.
be in 2021 is even more awesome
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
2020 was such a rough year for everyone.
Right, right.
But it's I look forward to seeing things continue to evolve and explode, and it's fun to watch it and to be
Abs
part of it to
Yeah,
at some extent. So
yeah.
it's really cool.
It
Well,
really is awesome, and she and I both, on our own, do a lot of, charity donating and just, pouring into charities, and that's it's not something that's really public. We don't look for it to be. So this was a really cool thing to be a part of because it really is aligned with, what we believe. Like, we always believe in giving back and pouring back into the community. I mean, the community is what makes us possible to have our businesses. So, we really feel strongly about that.
well, we just appreciate you being, really partners in this whole event weekend,
Yeah.
and the actual, it'll affect Girls on the Run of Greater Charlotte as well as
Right.
Carolina Breast Friends, and then the women that will be inspired and encouraged will be impacted as well, that are touched through this whole weekend event. So yeah,
Sure.
I'm just really thankful y'all are a part of it.
Sure.
Perfect
We are
fit.
too. We're very excited.
Well, let's talk about your fitness journey, because
Yeah.
I want to know, have you always been into fitness? Like, or were you active?
Um,
You play sports? Like,
so I've always done something, whether it's a sport or worked out at a gym. There was a period of time where, when I was married, my ex-husband and I opened gyms. I used to work for the state and child protective services, so I had left there to raise my children, and so we opened a gym, and that was going to be something that I was going to do, kind of keep myself busy while I'm raising the kids, and that quickly evolved into 5 gyms within 1 year. And the thing I liked about that gym was it was Curves for Women, and it was about the whole person. It was never just about the workout. And I'd never experienced something like that prior. I never experienced something like that prior where it's really looking at, their entire what they do for a living and how they eat, and is their spouse supportive, and it just looked at them as a whole, not just, oh, come sign a contract. And I remember when I opened my first gym, it was in Cornelius, North Carolina, and one of the things was, if someone doesn't come for a week, call them. And I called this woman, and I remember she was very overweight and she was very unhappy. I remember that in her meeting with us. And when you asked if her spouse was supportive, she said no, because she's done so many things and not continued them. Well, this woman paid a year in full. And after week one, she came, and then she didn't come week two. And I'll never forget this. I called her and I said, "Hey, I'm just calling because I see here, and, reminding her of her goals, and you haven't come in." And there was this eerie silence on the phone, and her voice changed completely from who I knew her to be in that week that I met her. And it was very cynical. And she said, "I don't know why you're calling me. You have my money." And I thought, oh my God, like, what has other gyms done to this woman? Like, what have other fitness centers done, or her husband, or anybody, to make her feel like that's why I was calling? It broke my heart. Like, today I tear up about it. And this was 20 years ago. And I'll never forget this woman. Like, nobody believed in her. And she resonated with me for years to come, even though, after about a year and a half, we sold those gyms, only because I could see that they weren't a gym that was going to grow and be up and coming to what the fitness industry needed. So it was a business decision. But that woman and that concept weighed on my mind for years to come. And when I found out about Burn Boot Camp, I started stalking them online. And I'm fast forwarding through a divorce and other stuff, but I was back working for the state, and I was every day looking. I was looking for the same. I wanted a franchise, but I wanted it to be that, and I never saw it again. And one day, this girl in my office she was walking by. Every time she'd walk by my office, I could see her losing weight, and I could see her getting in shape. And all I was doing was gaining weight, and I was moody, and I was not happy, and I was divorced and had two little kids to raise and working for the state and not making money. And the feelings that I was having, like seeing this girl, I was like, oh, what is she doing? Like it was totally not who I am now or ever want to be again. And I asked her, what are you doing? And she told me burn boot camp. And I started stalking Devin online. And I saw immediately, this is it. This is about the whole woman. At the time, it was just women. Now we have co-ed camps and it's a really growing fit community. But at the time, it was just women. And I saw, this is it. And I, I emailed him and I said, hey, do you know what, you have a really good concept. Like, you know what you're doing. I know what I'm doing. I've done this and I'm looking for this and you need to be nationally franchised. And he never responded. I didn't know this, but he was going through the franchise process. And 2 weeks later, he was nationally franchised. And I emailed him again. And I was like, this is my name. I know this. This is what I'm meant to do. I'm going to be your first franchisee. And he called me, and to hear him tell the other side of the story is just awesome. Because he says, like, I'm 20 something years old. And this girl calls me, and it was me. And I was like, hey, so I get your concept. I see what you're doing. I want to be a part of this. I know this, mentality. Your gym isn't just a contract. And this is what I want to be part of. And he's like, okay. So we set a meeting. And at the time, like, he was just newly franchised. He didn't even have franchise disclosures. Like, I came and met him, and I'm sitting across the table from him in Huntersville. I'd never seen a burn boot camp. I never walked in a gym, nothing. And I'm 25 pounds overweight. My body fat is in the obese. Like, I'm nowhere near, like, I'm going to be a trainer. And by the end of the hour conversation, I said to him, okay, so where do I sign? And he looked at me like I was absolutely nuts. And he goes, and he scrambled for a minute because he was all new to this. And he's like, so you have to 14 days by law, you have to review your franchise documents and then you can sign. And I said, okay, can you give me those? Because I want to start my 14 days now. And I remember him looking at me like I was absolutely crazy. And then it like took an even better turn because I said to him, so I'm going to keep my job. I need my benefits. I have two little children. I'm a single mom. And I'm going to hire a head trainer. And as I'm talking, he's shaking his head no. And I was like, hey, why are you shaking your head no? And he's like, because you're going to go through your transformation with me and you're going to get certified and you're going to be your own head trainer and you're going to quit your job in 6 weeks. And I mean, I can't make this up. Like, this was so exactly how it happened. And I said to him, no, I'm not. I'm overweight and I'm no way going to be a trainer and I don't have a certification and I can't afford to do that. And as I'm talking, he's writing on a piece of paper and he slips it across the desk and he goes, that's the NASM book I want you to buy. Go to Amazon and buy it. Give your 6-week notice at your job. And he's like dead serious. And the rest was history, man. I literally went home, ordered the book, gave my 6-week notice, not knowing how I was going to pay my mortgage, not knowing how I was going to pay the bills. I just knew that this is what I was going to do. And this was going to bring me back to that woman, right? This was going to bring me back to impacting that woman times hundreds. So I did. I quit my job and I started training with him. And within 7 weeks, I had lost 17 pounds. I lost 9% body fat. And I literally, my entire life changed. Like that is like exactly how the story happened. And, he and I will tell that story to people, and he'll tell the story how he sat there going, this woman believes in me. And I don't even know who she is, but she believes in me. And he's like, he told me how he told Morgan, he's like, we had this, someone believes in us. Like, someone believes in this. And it's such a cool story to like see now where the franchises come to and to see how many lives have been impacted and changed from it. And how many of my members have gone on to be franchisees, and, how it's impacted my life. And both my children are certified personal trainers now. Olivia at age 19, Nicholas at age 18, which he had to wait to 18 to be able to even be allowed to take the class, let alone get certified. And it's just really amazing to see how it's just generationally changed my life.
That's so awesome. That's such an
Yeah.
incredible story. And I didn't know this before we got on the podcast. Like I knew like because you have such a passion for helping others and you just that
Yeah.
radiates. And I knew how important like what burn means to you, but I had no idea that like you're literally the first one to franchise. Like
Yeah.
that's
And it was
like
an
crazy.
absolute, it was 100%. I knew it was my passion. I knew it was what I was meant to do. And I had the faith to do it. And, without that, I don't know that I would have been able to do it. But I knew that God had taken me through some serious stuff to get to that point, that this was the next journey and I was going to believe in it and I wasn't going to stop now. There was a reason, I have this saying, I like the saying, if he brings you to it, he'll bring you through it. And that's like how I looked at that journey in my life. Was it I had to believe in where I was supposed to be because I knew 100% this was the franchise I was looking for. And it's been to watch women's lives change, and now watch the amount, not only lives change, but what's been even more amazing to me over the past year is to watch marriages change. Because if you think about it, like husbands and wives, they work all day, and they're both in the grind of living their life, and providing for their families. And sometimes there's a stay-at-home mom, sometimes there's a stay-at-home dad. They're both doing all this stuff, right? But what are they really doing together? And what better thing to do together than to work out and feel better and start to look better and gain more confidence? Like, to have someone tell me that their marriage was saved because of my gym is amazing. And to see members coming in, husbands and wives working out together, is amazing. So it's just kind of evolved about not just women, but now it's evolved to the whole family. And to see the teenagers now come in is just even, more fulfilling for me, to just see it impact the whole family.
It's so awesome. Like I love hearing like just the whole like the story of it and how it has evolved and how it is more than in just the
Yeah.
just the physical because there is so much more that goes on when somebody's going through transformation it's always more than the physical side.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so much more than that. And I think I'd like to kind of backtrack before you get, we talked about your how you ended up at Burn, but really there was that point in your life that you had like a major life change, like
Right.
a knock you down change.
Sure.
And I think that I'd really love for you to share about that.
Sure. So just to touch on that, I'd been married for 7 years. And I knew in my gut that he had stepped out of the marriage and had been having relationships with other people, but I couldn't prove it. And I, deep in my faith, and I took vows, and I had two little children. So I was hunkered down to try and make this work. But that always ate at me because I knew, and I still couldn't prove. And I just had this gut wrenching feeling all the time. And all I could do was pray about it and continue to be the best mom that I could be for the kids. And I had an anonymous call one day, and that call led me to be able to um, uncover what I needed to in the way that I needed to in order to be able to leave my marriage and feel okay about it, knowing that I'm doing what's best for my children. And that was really important to me. And I remember for a long time, and I think I shared with you this with you before. For a long time, I had this vision that became was my why, and it was a vision on the day that my ex-husband was away at the time that I was able to discover this information and decide that he was going to leave the house. And that morning I had packed up everything of his and put it in his vehicle and put it in the driveway. And up to that point, like, I think that whole weekend I was just methodical, and all I was thinking was, you need to be strong for your kids, you need to be strong for your kids. And I stepped out of the vehicle, and it just, the moment I stepped out, it was pouring rain, and my legs gave way and I fell to the ground. And I remember hearing a neighbor come running across saying, she was cursing because she was very distraught to see me in that position. And she was very I could hear in her voice like she was devastated for me, and she picked me up. And that vision, I don't even remember what happened after she picked me up, but that vision, I envisioned what I looked like laying on that ground. And that stood in my mind for years as my why. And it wasn't until about a year and a half into my fitness journey with Burn that I realized that's not my why. My why was I needed to go through what I went through to get to where I was, for my why to be you're going to empower other people and you're going to help change other people's lives. And all that leading up to it was just God prepping me. That's all it was. He was just strengthening me and prepping me to be able to help other people. And I look back, like I don't have any regrets in that. I get the big picture. I get his plan. And I was like, I never would have been strong enough to open these businesses and do this had I not gone through that. Never. That just wasn't my jam. My jam was my family and my kids, and that's it. And never really thinking beyond that. Right. And, but as the kids got older and their needs got more, I it kind of all fell together that I had the gyms. It allowed me to spend time with them as a single mom, but it also allowed me to provide for them as a single mom. And so, one common thing I hear in the gym is women say when they have to cancel, it's not because they want to, it's because they think they have to because they're getting divorced and the world is falling apart and they feel hopeless and they feel like they don't have the energy for it. And I'm the last person you should say that to, because I'm going to come at you guns a blazing with every reason why you should be there, because that place is not only going to give you the physical strength to continue, it's going to give you the mental strength, and it's going to help you to be able to help your children if you have children, or go on to do great things. So, I for me, it's been really amazing to see it come full circle, where I can then help guide other people through their tough times, whether it's divorce or a death or a loss of a job, right? No matter what happens, at the end of the day, your health and fitness and it feeds and one feeds into the other. So it helps you to continue on to do whatever you need to do to have the strength mentally and physically. So, I found that when I realized my why changed, I was like, oh, this is great. Like, I don't have that vision anymore. It's there, but that's not who I am. And that's not my why anymore. My why is now, how can I help the next person? And that's been really amazing for me to watch it come full circle, to feel it come full circle, and to then see it come and impact other people's lives. Like, I just love that. I love that I realized that.
And
And but it
well,
took me a year and a half to realize it, but
but I think that's so awesome though, because it does show how like your why has evolved with what you've been doing, and
yeah,
realizing that your passion is evident in what you do every day, and your passion is evident just in you talking about like, wanting women to feel empowered, wanting people to feel empowered,
yeah,
but women in particular. Like, when we talked about divorce, and, that really is like fitness is like the one thing I know for me when I went through divorce, that was the same thing. Fitness was
yeah,
my say, like, that's where I went. Like, that was the place I felt confident. That made me feel good about myself. And I was surrounded by women that were there for me when I needed that community. So I love that that's a big piece of why you're on the mission you are, to help other people. And I just, to
yeah.
me that's I mean to me that's everything.
It really is. And I can't tell you how many times I've stood in the gym and a member's come through the door, and the second her foot steps over the threshold of the door, she breaks down crying. And it's typically a member that's been there for a long time and something's going on in her life. And I cannot tell you how many times they look up at myself and my staff and say, this is the first time I've cried since my husband was diagnosed with cancer. This is the first time I've cried since my mom died. This is the first time I've cried since so and so. And that's their place. That's their safe place. And that happens over and over and over again. And I love that we've created that space for people. And I love that they know they have that space to go to.
Well, they do. And I've heard from members that go to your gym, and I've heard from, just from you and Lindsay and what you all share and what you're doing. Like, y'all are doing some pretty amazing things and providing, like you said, that safe space and community for people. And
Mhm.
I just, I have more power to you for what
Sure.
you're
Yeah.
doing, and I expect to see it just continue on. Like you're going to continue
Yeah.
impacting people and helping people, and that's, I mean, this is such a beautiful way to do it.
It really is. And it's really awesome to see members become franchise partners and then see them, turn around and do the same thing.
So cool.
And just to see it just continue, and just to be a part of things like Be Amazing and meet people like you who share the same mission as us. And it just has opened so many awesome doors and connections.
Yeah, and that's just the way for us all to thread together as a community and support each other, and that's what I love, are the women that I've met through just what I've been doing within our Charlotte community.
Yeah.
And then it's even expanded. There's other people and, other parts of the country now that I'm working with and connected to, and they all share that same heart and same vision.
Not only share the same heart and same vision, but go back to when I was telling you the girl was walking by my office and I was like, what is she doing? Right. Like I look back and I was like, who were you? That's awful. Like now I see someone walk by me, like one of my friends or franchise partners or members, and they look in amazing shape. And I'm like, yes, I freaking love it. Right. I wish my butt looked like yours. Right. Like, you celebrate them, and
Yes.
it's a totally different mindset. And then you start to surround yourself with people like that, that I look back at who I was in that desk in that office and I'm ashamed. Like I don't ever want to think that way again. And I think you and I've talked about impacting younger teens, and I'd love to get that thought process out to younger girls now. Don't compare yourself to the other people. Don't look at what somebody else is doing. Don't be envious of them. We're all in this together, no matter what it is that you're doing. And I don't, maybe that comes with growth, but I'd love to see that impact younger teens, and not have them have all those unhealthy feelings.
Absolutely. And it's so real, because I know for me the same thing. Like I can remember there was all this constant pressure of comparison and constant
Yeah.
pressure looking at what's going on with somebody else. And man, when you let go of that and you just embrace who you are and like
Yeah.
what you bring to the world, and then you embrace the people around you and what they're doing, like there's something really cool that happens, and there's this like connection and energy and like
Yeah.
vibes, and like,
Yeah.
man, that's so much better than the negative, because
Yeah.
it's staying away from that negative talk.
Hmm.
It helps with even the self, like when you have those negative self-talk moments, it's like, man, I'll pick up the phone and call somebody, call one of my friends, and we
Yes.
talk through whatever it is, because they get it. And I just think
Absolutely.
like that's what community is. And I love, again, love what's going on, and love being a part of it.
Yeah, I do
So
too. And I love the people that we've met just being a part of it, through Be Amazing and Strong Weekend, and just, all the collaboration that's been going on lately.
yeah, well, collaboration to me is like what's is the sweet spot. It's like
Yeah.
when y'all come together, it's like one big party.
I
Like
know.
I don't want to miss out. I want to be a
I
part of what's
know.
going on. There's so much good energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's talk about you and about your favorite workout. Talk to me about that.
So I would say my favorite workout is speed and agility, because well, a big part of it is because my brain doesn't stop ever, and my mind is in 10,000 directions at any given moment. But when I hit the floor with speed and agility, you have to be so on point because you're moving so fast. You don't want to twist your ankle, or you don't want that. It's literally 45 minutes that I can grind and focus and give it my all and let my brain rest. And, when I'm doing strength training today, I was doing leg day. And when I'm doing those focused moves, unfortunately, my brain starts to focus on all kinds of other things. And so I would say speed and agility, because it keeps me just going the whole time, and it doesn't let me stop and think about what's happening before I know what it's done.
I would agree with you on that one, because I'm like that with most of my workouts, like if it comes to strength training, my brain's 100 miles an hour.
I
But if
know.
I'm doing
Yes.
something where I've just like this consistent movement, and
Yeah.
if it's power moves or like, box jumps, or I have to think it, I have to make sure I
Yeah.
don't
You have
miss
to
it.
pay attention.
Right. I had to do that. My brain slows down.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, I hate that kind of stuff. I'm like, no, I love
Yeah.
it because it's the only time, like you said, the only time that my brain will actually like stop for a minute.
Yeah.
And my body, I can make it work hard. So yeah.
Mhm.
Do you
Mhm.
have now with that? Do you have like a favorite song that you likes your jam or that gets you pumped
I
up?
really don't. I really don't. Because I do all burn workouts, so it's whatever they're playing. And I just kind of I hear the beat, I don't really hear the words, and I just kind of try and get as focused as possible on my workout. So I don't have one of it, just like an actual hype song.
Do you now? What about a quote? Do you have like a hype quote or something that you
So
like?
I don't. If I do have a go-to if I'm struggling though, or if I'm struggling with anything, I'm have for years gone to it's a daily devotional. It's Joyce Meyer's daily devotional. And you literally it's just a one page and it gives a Bible verse, which I have a very hard time understanding. And I may never ever read the Bible because deciphering it is very difficult for me. But it gives a Bible quote and then it gives a real life explanation of that. And for me, without fail, no matter what I'm struggling with on any given day, when I need something or I need to get my mind out of a negative place, I just read that and it always speaks to me. So I would say, like, for me, that's just kind of my daily go to.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I always it's so interesting because when I've had talked to different people on here, kind of what people draw from, and I love that that's your go-to, and that
Mhm.
it's. I mean, we all have things that we lean into, but I love that that's what you're leaning into for yourself, and that saying like it's a devotional, like it's
Yeah.
yes, it has a Bible verse, but it's the whole explanation of what that verse
Yeah,
means.
I'm not yeah,
Yeah, I dig that.
I can't understand the Bible verses, but I like the part that I can relate to that gives you some sort of guidance and just kind of like resets me back on track.
Yeah, I dig
And
that.
it's something, my daughter and I have tattooed on my side here in Italian is the words faith over fear. My daughter has it on her wrist, and that's kind of just been our go-to. I would say really ever since my divorce, when I really struggled and we struggled and things were really, really tough for us. That was my thing. I'd always say to my kids, you better have your faith stronger than your fear. And there was days that it was easy for me to say it and very hard for me to believe it. Um, but that was always my go-to. So usually when I'm having a day that I'm struggling, it's because I'm lacking faith in something and worrying about something that I really shouldn't be worrying about. So I think that that's kind of my hype.
That's awesome. It's so real because, like, I think that happens for a lot of us. I mean, I think that happens for everybody. Like, fear can take over.
Oh,
And
it's beastly. It is
yeah,
absolutely beastly. And I see it in members and in conversations and in focus meetings. And I just want to fast forward for them and say, don't spend another day feeling that way, or don't spend another day, letting that consume you. And, it takes a while. It took me a long time to get there. I mean, I was 46 when I got divorced. No, not 46. Sorry. I was 40. I was turning 40 when I got divorced. But still, it took me years after that to really get to a peaceful place and to believe the things that I wanted, to really have my faith be stronger. Yeah.
no, I really appreciate you sharing that because I think that will help. So that will help people that are listening because I think your example and your real life example of like talking about quitting your job and stepping out and doing this, taking on this franchise, like,
Yeah, I think my parents and my family really thought I had lost it. Like, I think they thought, here's it, here's where it's going down.
right, this is
This is
it.
it. Yeah.
Well, before I let you go, is there anything else that's on your heart that you want to share?
I think just that no matter who you are or where you are in your life, like if you have a dream or a passion or a vision, there's a way to accomplish that, right? For 3 years now, where one of my gyms was, stood on the balcony and saw this piece of land across from me. And all I envisioned was owning the building, watching my members run around the building with no cars in their way, or hearing the music blaring where nobody next door would hear it, or the restaurant downstairs wouldn't complain. And I became obsessed with this vision of this building. And I started to find out who the developer was and stalk him for a good year. He wouldn't sell to me. And then I noticed that they had a for sale sign on, and came at him again. He wouldn't sell to me. He sold part of it, and there was an acre left. And he came and said, "Well, we'll sell to you an acre." No, he said to me, "What I'll do is I'll build to suit for you." And I said, "No, I want to own that building, and this is what I want, and this is my vision." And I stood firm on it, and I watched from that balcony, and I pictured the building every day. And then he came to me and said, "Fine, I will sell you an acre." And then panic set in, because I thought, "Oh my God, I can't afford that. There's no way I can afford that." And with a short conversation with my accountant, and long story short, my mortgage on that land and an 11,000 square foot building is less than my current rent. So don't be afraid. If there's something you want, there's ways to get to it. Educate yourself, ask questions, ask people who know more than you know about what it is you want to do. Because had I not done that, I never would be opening this building. I never would be in this position that I'm actually going to see my members run around this building. I actually am going to have a sound system that I don't have to worry about people complaining. And, you know, it just, for me, it's like, oh my gosh, I want to tell as many people as I can. And I don't want to tell them because I'm bragging, because I'm not. I have a really big loan on that land. This isn't all me, but I would never have done that if I didn't know to ask the questions, or if I let fear take over, saying, "There's no way you can do that. You can't afford that. You don't know how to build a building," right? Because I don't. But I started asking, and I started educating. And now I'm doing and literally living out something I dreamed of doing, and I want to like scream that to other people, like whatever it is, start looking for ways to do it, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
talk about Be Amazing weekend, you talked about the first one, and like, look at where it is now. I mean, you're with Strong Fitness magazine, right?
Yeah.
Would you have ever thought when you first started that this is where you'd be?
No, no.
Right? No, don't you want to like scream that I want to like tell everybody I can. It's hard to do that without it sounding like you're bragging. Like, I'm not bragging. I want other people to do this. Like, I want other people to fulfill their dreams. And it's possible. So
That's
I
so
think
like
that's the part, like, I want to drive home is, don't let your fear be, stronger. Start looking at what you want to do and do it.
it's so
I've
funny.
got, I have people who are getting their certification right now, quitting their jobs, and they're not going to make as much training as they are with their job, but they're following their passion. And I guarantee you, years from now, those trainers are probably going to be gym owners or something more, because they're taking a leap to follow their passion. And I just would love to see that for everyone, for anyone who thinks that they can or wants to.
That's so awesome. I love that you shared that story, because you had shared that with me, and I was hoping that we would talk about it, because I think the whole part of the vision of seeing it, like you started seeing it, and I can relate to that. With when you
Yeah.
start to see something and you see it, like you're the visionary, you see the whole thing unfold, like you see it. Now, do you know how you're going to get there all the time? No, but it's just taking those
Yeah.
steps, and it's maintaining that vision of,
Yeah.
you have to remind yourself to go back and rewind that, to watch it, to keep it fresh and keep it
Yeah,
going.
absolutely. And I think one thing that I did want to mention to you was that I've talked to you about Geo, the little girl I want you to meet, and who we're going to have do Be Amazing. And she she has impacted me more than I think she'll ever realize. She obviously will if she hears this, but this kid came into my gym. She was about 14 years old at the time, and her mom's a member. And she's like, "Oh, Gio wants to do a trial." And Gio doesn't have an arm from her elbow down. And I'll never forget the first time this kid came into camp, and my trainer was training, and I was hovering because I was like, oh my gosh, I need to make sure this girl's okay. And jump rope was the first station, and the trainer said to her, just do, jump squats instead. And he gave her something else to do. And this kid, she picked up the jump rope, she tied it around the part of her arm that she had, and she started jumping rope. Like, she was like, looked at him like, I'm not doing this. Everybody else is doing this. And she went to the next thing, and it was burpees. And she goes and she gets a med ball and she puts it down, and she takes the part of her arm that she's missing her arm, and she used the med ball to be that support for her. And I watched this kid go around the gym, and I'm still hovering. I'm a nervous wreck, but there was nothing she wasn't going to do. And her mom reached out to me after her 14-day trial, because at the time it was 14 days. And she said, Gio wants to join. And I'm not sure how we're going to afford it, but we will. And I wrote back, it wasn't hesitation. I said, nope, we're giving her a membership. And she said to me, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I can't. And I was like, no. I said, what you don't get was, I watched that night. There was members in there who would have tried a burpee, but they watched her do a burpee. And that's why they did it. And I was like, oh my God, this kid is amazing. I'm like, she's influencing all these other people around her. And there's nothing she won't do in the gym. Like, she's amazing. So I did get a lot of like confidence from her. I was like, oh, like, why would, she's never going to take no. She's going to do whatever she wants to. She's going to the nationals for rock climbing. Like, she's not going to take no. She's going to find a way. So for me, like, that was so inspiring, because it was right along that time period that I started to obsess about this building. And I can't wait for you to meet her, though, because she's a huge inspiration. But I just felt like that was necessary to mention, because, you just never know who you're inspiring. And I don't think she ever realized how much she's inspired me. And what's amazing is she's constantly sending me notes, or she'll show up on my doorstep for my birthday and telling me how she inspired me. And I'm like, she has no idea like how much she inspires other people, and just doesn't take no.
So that's the takeaway. You just don't take no. There's always a way.
There was literally always a way. Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being on.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So where can everybody find you? Like, if they want to connect to you, they want to, send you a message.
I guess probably my Instagram is probably the best place. It's Melissa Price Fitness. And or at the gyms, Burn Boot Camp Mallow Creek and Burn Boot Camp North Charlotte. And then Lindsay and I are opening Burn Boot Camp Belmont, which is coming. And I think Weddington is going to follow quickly behind that, because we were just really blessed to have had a location in Weddington just put right in front of us recently. So, awesome. Yeah, it's all happening really quick.
It's so exciting. Well, again, thank you so much for being on. Thank you for sharing your passion for what you do, and just being the inspiration that you are. This has been awesome.
Thanks, Gail. Thanks. I'm so happy to be on here with you.
Thank you for joining me today. If you like the podcast, please like and share this with other women in your life. You can find out more about SweatNet on sweatnet.com, or follow them on Instagram at SweatNet and SweatNet Charlotte. You can follow me personally on Instagram at Cel Smart. Stay tuned for the next episode of the SweatNet Be Amazing podcast.